Welcome to I Support Your Business show with your host and host Mithil, a pod made exclusively to share the journey of our fellow community members of I Support Your Business Indo Canadian community to the world. The main aim of our community is to practice the power of giving, facilitate collaborations and partnerships, and help connect people on a global platform. As your host, being the president of the community currently, as well as the founder and chief content alchemist at VI Stripe Content Lab, I help solopreneurs, artists, and coaches build their business online organically through content marketing. Today, we have a wonderful member from our community and a very dear friend of mine. Let's welcome on the stage none other than Suyash.
Hey,
Hi,
Mithil.
Suyash.
Hi, Mithil. How you doing?
I'm doing cool. How are you?
I'm very good, man. I'm very good. Um, just enjoying the weather in Bombay. The sun has come out after I don't know how many days today. So, so we're just enjoying that bit.
Lovely. And with the sun, I think even you are shining a lot.
Thank you so much.
So, Shreyas, can you just walk with us with your childhood journey, please?
uh, Mithil, my childhood was very average, to be honest. I mean, it was the usual childhood that one has in a middle class Indian family. Growing up, yes, there were always challenges of me not doing my homework and things like that, but निकल गया so बड़े हो गए but thankfully I'm very grateful for having a great family. My parents, my elder brother, they were all very you know uh, uh, things are part of life in growing up, and you learn a lot of things. And but my parents have been very supportive. They've always guided me in the right way. uh, I give a lot of credit to what I am today because of my parents. My brother has been very supportive in my growing up years. School, I'm not the guy with like a huge gang of friends and things like that. I was very selective in friendship, and I still am like that. um like, don't have like a big gang, but have like very selected friends who really matter. And that was what the childhood was about. But yeah, there was a lot of sports. I used to play tennis. I used to play table tennis. I've even gone and taken football coaching. Every possible game that was available to me, I've played that. You can call me like a jack of all trades, master of none. But I had a great time playing all those games, and when it came to sports. Apart from that, yeah, my teachers were. I had some good teachers. I had some bad teachers. I had some terrible teachers. But with all these good, bad, and terrible teachers, you end up doing only one thing, which is learning. So you learn to deal with people. You learn to deal with teachers. You learn to keep yourself calm, not really do that. So I was a very average kid when it came to studies also. And करते करते जैसे तैसे इंजीनियरिंग हॉस्टल में पहुंच गए. वहाँ पे you learn to fend for yourself. You learn to say things no, like things like no to people. uh, and there I made like a bunch of friends, which kind of, because in a hostel you stay like for 24 hours with people, and for 3 months at a stretch, no parents around. So there also it's a lot of learning that happens, and friends help you through, and you help friends through. And it's a great situation to be in sometimes. So yeah, that was what childhood was mainly about. It was very okay, very nothing too eventful, nothing like a huge struggle that I had to go through or something like that. It was a nice childhood. Um, and with the typical things that happen in a family is what has happened. You have your good times, your bad times, and everything. So
So, Suyash, when and how did your professional journey started?
I think that's the story that I would definitely like to share. Okay, so after my engineering got done, जो बड़ी मुश्किल से हुई, but it got done. I finished it. I came out with first class marks and everything. And I landed in the worst job market ever when it came to engineering side of things. I In engineering, I'd also picked up music and things like that, and extracurricular activities. So I always was interested in that side of things and knowing how those things work. So somehow I picked up a job with Panasonic as a sales engineer, is what they were calling me. We were nothing but salespeople who were selling fax machines to people. So meanwhile, what I did was I saw in a newspaper an ad for a voiceover class, and I was like, and it says, you can become a radio jockey, you can become a voice artist. This, I was like, ye sab kya hai bhai? And I called that number, and on the other side was this gentleman. His name is Darpan Mehta, and he said, why don't you come over and see? And I was like, yes. I was interested in music. I wanted to make a band and things like that. So I was like, band kya banayega? You've never been to a studio also. So I said, go and see what a studio looks like. I had to go I used to stay in Chembur, so I went all the way to Andheri from Chembur to see what this was about. And I said, okay, I'll enroll. So I enrolled, and 5 weekends of classes, 5 hours each, the best time of my life. Trust me, it was the best education course I have done, because it was so interactive. It was He had all the industry professionals come down and teach you things literally, like, okay, this is how you have to speak, this is how you have to do dubbings, this is how you have to do voiceovers, this is how you can improve your voice, this is how you can improve your diction. They gave us a lot of exercises to do, and then and there they used to make us do all of that. They gave us group activities to do, and it was so much fun. It was so much fun. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then after that course got over, somebody called me and said, hey, will you do a voiceover for us? I'm like, okay, I'll come. And I went and did a voiceover for an internal film of Johnson and Johnson, and that person who had called me paid me money. And I was like, you get paid for this? So, you grew. The thing is, my childhood was amongst people who were from a science background all the time. So we were always thinking science and engineering. या तो डॉक्टर बनने का तो ये था नहीं ऑप्शन मेरे पास, तो इंजीनियर बनने का ही ऑप्शन था. तो everything was all about science, right? So we were always in that environment where everybody around us was also like that. Hardly we would find people from the media. So I had absolutely no idea what this is about. So I started exploring after I got paid for it. I said, oh, this is damn good, you get paid for it. So I started exploring, and then I'd taken a break from the job, and I was studying for when you don't have anything to do, so you study for CAT and MBA. You know, which was like a very half-hearted effort from my end, because I was done with studying and I really wanted to kind of work and find an avenue for myself. And then I came across options that somebody shared with me, saying, hey, you should go and work for this company called Banentry Communications. I'm like, what is this about? So I saw their website and I said, okay, they have requirements for radio jockeys and they had requirements for producers. And I'm like, what is this production, and what is this what does the music programmer do? I said, let me just go for an RJ audition. ये सब बाद में देखेंगे. मेरी आवाज़ बड़ी अच्छी है, मैं जाके RJ audition देता हूँ. So I went, and he said, okay, that guy who was taking the audition said, come, why don't you sit? And here's the mic, here's the headphones, I'm going to press record, and then you can start. I said, great. The moment he closed the door of the studio, and he went out and he said, okay, start. And I started fumbling on everything. This is despite me having a script. And basically, I just bombed that entire audition. And I came out and I realized you're not ready for this, I guess. So, but then I asked them, hey, what is this producer job, and what is this, music programmer thing? So somebody said, oh, it's actually, we program places for music for these places like hotels and things like that, so your music knowledge should be really good about it. I said, yeah, music knowledge तो है अपने को, music तो बहुत सुनता हूँ मैं. So, so they made me meet one of the owners of that company, Mr. Anish Trivedi. Very awesome guy. He has the biggest collection of jazz in Bombay, as far as I know. Very passionate about music, very passionate about creative arts. He used to be a radio jockey with Radio 1 once upon a time. So he met me and he explained to me, oh, so, we need to test your music knowledge. And can you make us playlists for jazz, Indian classical, classic rock, and lounge music? So I said, okay. He like, I'll give you 1 week. He like, you have to make a 1 hour playlist. I said, okay. First thing I did was I ran from World Trade Center to Planet M, and I started scouting CDs. Started noting down names of all the artists that I really liked. Went back home and from whatever music I had collected over the years, I just picked out those music and I kind of put them together and I sent it to them. And I did that in 2 days. And he's like, wow, that was fast. So why don't you come and meet us? So when I met them, he said, oh, we really liked your job, though I feel that there is much for you to learn. And he said, I'm giving you a job, come. So that's how I actually started with, got into something of this sort. And trust me, that job was my first job assignment in that job was to sit and listen to 1,500 songs of instrumental jazz, and not just listen to them. I had to sit and I had to make a database of the characteristics of that song, because then that database was going to be used in an automation to make playlists, and then a team would sit and actually put it together and then send it to the hotel. So that's how I started in this. Then I was there for about 6 months, and 6 months what I used to do was, when other RJs were recording, so they were also programming for a website called bollywoodondemand.com, and that's where all the RJs were coming and doing their radio shows. It was an online radio station back then in 2005. And so so I used to sit for those recordings and just observe how these guys are talking and what they're doing and what is the kind of content that they're getting. And 6 months later, bollywoodondemand.com wanted to expand, so they wanted new shows, so they wanted new RJs. So then I said, I want to audition for this, and then I got selected again. So my audition went well this time, and I got in as an RJ as well over there. So I was doing 2 shows over there. Plus, I was doing this job on the side together, and I did that for about 6 months. And then the whole radio market opened up again. The third phase of, I think, the second phase of radio opened up, and Big FM happened. So that time it was called Ad Labs Radio. Reliance ka radio bolte the sab log usko. So it was under Anil ADA group. That was Anil Dhirubhai Ambani group. And uske interviews chal rahe the, so I'd got through a headhunter. She had put me on to one of the guys, and then my interview happened. I got selected, and that's where my actual journey then began, from radio onwards. So, and that first 6 months of working with Big FM was like an MBA, man. So it was like a complete crash course. The speed with which people were working, the level at which the whole team was, from Sony TV and from Star and from, like, the best of the best in the industry were there as a part of the team. And that learning process, it was just exponential. So, and for me, because I'm quite curious about everything, I used to go and meet everybody from every department, just trying to get to know what everyone one actually does in the office. And maybe you get to pick up a few things, learn a few things like that. So that's where the journey began. And I was there for about 3 years. Nice run, good run, super fast growth happened. Lot of confidence was gained. And in 2009, then I moved out of there to realize कि भैया क्या करना है आगे, यही करना है क्या पूरा time. So then 2009, when I got out, I was like wondering what to do. So voiceovers was like a thing that I had to fall back on. So I started doing voiceovers again. I cracked a couple of good auditions, and I got through to do cricket commentary for a radio, for a channel which was basically on phone. So like you had to call a number and you could hear the IPL commentary. So the IPL that was happening in South Africa, I think it was the second or third IPL. Uska commentary मैंने किया है. And but that happened after that 6 months, no job. So freelance hit me like a little different. So I started diversifying and I got into artist management, and that's when I started my company, which was Live and Direct Entertainment Media.
Lovely. Suyash, you are a storyteller. It was mesmerizing. I was actually kind of living the whole story. Lovely.
Thank you. And this is a very short version of it. Trust me, it'll take days to explain it to you. I'm trying to be concise because otherwise ये interview कभी खत्म नहीं होगा.
Then I think you can have a separate podcast channel with your whole season up to it.
Yeah.
So, Suyash, like you ended your journey to start becoming an entrepreneur. So, when did you turn into an entrepreneur?
Honestly, it was, I think, as an entrepreneur, you're always entrepreneurial. Even when you're in a job, you're always looking at solving people's problems, and you're always looking at creating opportunities for yourself and for people, right? In Big FM, I think I initiated a lot of things. I initiated their first RJ hunt. I actually ran an entire campaign with my colleague, one of my colleagues, and we used to sit and we used to audition RJs. And we found some very interesting people out of there. One of them was Ayushman Khurana. There was another guy called RJ Pankaj. He's now in Chandigarh. And we found this guy, a guy called Ashwini Kumar Patil, who used to do a character called Babu Rao. So but we used to find that when मैं overall मिला के मैंने कुछ 2-3 हजार auditions किए होंगे Big FM में, right? But that entire campaign was driven by me. So it kind of gives you that confidence of, okay, this is there within a company. Also, I think you need entrepreneurial people, and I was probably one of them which would who would take up a task and drive it like that. I realized much later that I'm not much of a desk guy. मुझे डेस्क पे बिठा के मत करो. म्यूजिक का जो था, so I was also music manager for this thing. And it was after everybody had rejected that job is when they came to me and said, Suyash, will you manage music for Big FM Bombay? No, they came to me and said, actually, this is what they said: you have to manage the music. I said, I was wondering when you'll ask me. So taking that up completely, and once I took it up, they didn't have to think about it. They're like, Suyash hai, sambhal lega. So, and that's a huge task, managing music on a station, because whatever plays on the station is absolutely your responsibility, right? And then to devise systems within that particular process, which which have to be replicated over other stations, right? So I also used to conduct trainings for other music schedulers and music managers from the other stations and things like that. um, Obviously, I also used to pick up from the senior members who had already done this job from other cities, और मैं भी उनसे काफी कुछ सीखता था. कई बार नेशनल टीम के साथ बैठ के भी हम लोग नए ये लाते थे आइडियाज वगैरह. तो but then that's what the whole thing is, and that's how you make your station better, and you realize and you understand strategy कैसा है, सामने competition का क्या strategy है, and all those things. So these things become a part of you, right? And हम लोग when you come out of a job, I think when all that you've learned in a job, एक अंदर से भी होता है कि वो you can't sit idle, so you keep doing things or the other. So when I got out of Big FM, I think I used all my skills, even in my first job in Panasonic, my boss actually taught me how to do sales, how to sell a particular product, and now you're the product, so you have to apply the same to you. So now when you're going out and you're pitching yourself as a voice artist, you're trying to differentiate between, okay, I'm not a bass voice, I'm a young voice. So if you need a young voice, you call me, and that's how I got called in a lot of auditions. So I think that kind of works in very different ways. So once you come out, um then when the whole thing happened where 6 months I had nothing to do because कोई audition के लिए नहीं बुला रहा था, कोई कुछ नहीं बुला रहा था, कोई रास्ता नहीं मिल रहा था, is when I said, okay, I need to get back to music and do something of those sort. So I landed up at a gig at Furtado's Juhuka basement, where there were Hindi bands who were doing original music. And I was very impressed. I was very impressed with the bands that they were doing great music. It's a kind of music that I can relate to, and it's the kind of music which was kind of picking off. And I think तब वो rock on आई थी, तो there was a whole bunch of people who had gone and formed bands, क्योंकि उनके बचपन का dream था वो. And that's where I met them, and it was actually through them that I got through to a lot of other musicians. And my idea was that these people need to create content, and they need their gigs to be shown to people, क्योंकि लोगों को पता नहीं था कि shows कैसे होते हैं, कहाँ होते हैं, और कौन हैं ये bands. तो I एक friend था, he was running this community called Hindi Rock Circuit, so I joined him. as like a member of that community. And then slowly I realized that he's not doing much anymore, so I took it over from him. एंड बट हमने क्या किया, हमने एक दो हमने शोज किए वेर वी काइंड ऑफ प्लेस्ड सम सिंगर सॉन्ग राइटर्स एंड baristas एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट. तो उस टाइम पे मेरे को ऐसा लगा कि हाँ भाई, अभी यू जस्ट मेक योर कंपनी एंड पेमेंट लेने के लिए तेरे पास कंपनी हो जाएगी कम से कम, लाइक यू आर नॉट वर्किंग एज अ फ्रीलांसर. सो दैट्स व्हेन आई थॉट दैट आई नीड टू क्रिएट कंटेंट फॉर दीज गाइज, and I wanted to do live streams with these guys, and that's why the name came up with live and direct entertainment and media as well. So like, I can kind of work with both. So I was also booking bands and I was also creating content. So it was live and direct entertainment media, and it was, I wanted to be the guy who will basically live stream events at that point in time. Unfortunately क्या हो गया, वो management वाला part ज़्यादा भारी पड़ गया. मैं भारी पड़ गया in the sense like everybody wanted me to manage them. So there was a point when I was managing 2-3 bands. Or फिर a few TV shows were happening at that point in time. Everybody wanted to do their own version of Coke Studio, but Coke Studio India में आया नहीं था तभी. So everybody was doing. So there was this one show called Smith and Jones Music का तड़का. So they called me. They wanted bands. तो वहाँ पे I placed around 150 bands from across the country. फिर वो हो रहा था, तो there was this another company. They also wanted to do a similar show called My TV, and they wanted to do a show called My Studio. So they also wanted bands. So उन्होंने 4 जगह से पता करवाया, एक ही नाम निकल के आया, सुयश कर रहा है तो सुयश को बुला लो यहाँ पे. So there we did about some 10-15 bands we could do, but we created about 50 music videos we created. Unfortunately that company tanked. तो वो कभी कंटेंट बाहर नहीं आया. स्मिथ एंड जोन्स का भी ऐसा हुआ कि वो लास्ट मोमेंट पे स्पॉन्सर ने, स्मिथ एंड जोन्स ने पैसे नहीं दिए प्रोड्यूसर को, तो प्रोड्यूसर पूरा ये लेके बैठ गया. So that content really didn't come out, but I got recognized. So people in the circuit started knowing me, so more people started approaching me for management because they knew that he's booking for gigs and stuff like that. So karte karte, that you start finding out newer avenues that you can do for people. So post that, I think what happened was एक point थोड़ा सा ऐसा आ गया where there was a low. I wasn't getting paid on time. My voiceover work was happening, but sorry, I'll just start this again. So post that, what happened was I was managing 2 artists. One was Chintu Bhosle from Band of Boys, and me and Chintu go way back because Chintu used to be my boss in Big FM in the beginning.
Oh.
Yeah, and Chintu called me and said, "Hey, will you manage me?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll manage you." And we had a good time. We did a lot of shows and a lot of content was created with Chintu. He had released one album also at that point in time, which was a solo album, very beautiful album. I have wait a second, I think I have a copy of that. Sorry, somewhere over here is a copy of that album. And the other artist that I was managing was a guitar player by the name of Ravi Iyer, a legendary guitar player. He used to be with a band called Witchhammer. Then he was with Vayu. Then he had his own band called Paravayu. And then he kind of started performing as himself, which is Ravi Iyer and Friends and things like that. And he's still performing. Very amazing guitar player. He had 2 projects. One was a fusion project called Guitar Fusion Project, and he had his rock music thing, which was Ravi Air and Friends. And with the Guitar Fusion project, he also launched an album called Bends. And one of the best, I think, you have to give it time to understand how beautiful that album is. And I still remember we were in a Hard Rock Cafe, Worley, where there were this bunch of bankers who were sitting. And most of the time in shows, we used to observe that, artist bada rahe, koi dhyan hi nahi de raha. So he was doing the fusion set in Hard Rock Cafe, and there was this bunch of bankers in the front table over there, and they were chit-chatting and talking, and he started with one of his guitar solos. And the entire table with spoons in their air and looking up with their jaws dropped. So he was that level of amazing, right? So I had the opportunity of working with them. Unfortunately, thoda financial trouble ho gaya us time pe. My father also fell ill, and There were a lot of other things. My payments were not coming on time. A couple of companies whom I was working for as a voiceover artist, they were being bought over and shut down. तो जैसे तैसे करके जितना cash निकाल सकते थे निकाल लिया. So that time what happened, Hungama approached me for Artists Allowed, and they said, will you work with us? So I took up a job at that point in time, and then I started working with them. So वो जो लेकिन वो that entrepreneurial thing which a person has, that will always show in a job as well, right? So helped them start off with their live performance circuit thing. Till then, Artists Allowed was only a service where independent artists would just give out their music, and they would distribute it on various channels, and they would earn some revenue out of it and give it to the artist. And they're a very small database and everything, because independent artists itne aate bhi nahi the. So once we started off with the live thing, a lot more artists started coming in. Obviously there was a lot of support from the company itself, because they already had established themselves on Facebook, and they had established themselves on social media and things like that. तो मतलब वो क्या होता है कि एक entrepreneur को उतना भी support मिल जाए ना, उतना भी support मिल जाए, तो you want to do more in that space, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's not that they weren't doing live, but they weren't doing it on a regular basis. So they were doing this properties, बड़े shows हो रहे हैं, तो बड़े ही artists आ रहे हैं. तो जो छोटे artists हैं उनको नहीं मिल रहा है कुछ भी. With this, the smaller artists started getting placed in this thing. So we were programming about 5 venues in Bombay at one point in time. वो हो रहा था. Brands got interested. Lot of people started, like more artists started coming to us with their music and things like that. And I think एक quality control करना बहुत ज़रूरी था वहाँ पे. So we started doing that. So yeah, that happened. Then 3 years I was with Hangama. I was doing a lot over there. Then after that, I joined a company which was managing Farhan Akhtar and Ayushman ka music side of things. Oh, that wasn't a very long stint. Somewhere synergies weren't matching with them, so we had to part ways. And then Naptol happened, and Naptol, mein I was creative head. I was there for about a very short stint. After that, it was like, "Ho gaya bhaiya corporate. Ab aa jao wapas. Come back to your journey." And that's when I actually full time फिर मैंने अपना काम शुरू किया. This time I was a little more smarter, more careful. I got into audio production mainly, which is what I still do, which is producing audio for brands and banks. I got back to doing voiceovers. And one thing I decided after that is do everything that you like. So, on the way, while doing artist management, I used to document them playing in different shows. So, I used to go and click pictures. And I had a very basic camera back then, which was the Canon S5 IX. It had like about a 20x zoom and things like that. तो मैं उससे जाके फोटो खींच के लाता था सबकी. फिर वो क्या होता था कि वो लोग तो बजा रहे हैं स्टेज पे, मेरा तो ज़्यादा काम नहीं है, मेरा हो गया नेटवर्किंग करके भी उसके बाद. सो व्हाट डू यू डू? सो यू टेक पिक्चर्स, यू स्टार्ट गेटिंग बेटर. अच्छा यहाँ से खींच के देखता हूँ, यहाँ से खींच के देखता हूँ. So you start getting better. So I picked up photography like that. A lot of my pictures were appreciated by the artists. They started sharing it on their platforms and things like that. And a couple of newspapers published it. एक दो magazine covers पे भी आया वो. मतलब local magazines थी, उनके covers पे आया. और a lot of appreciation was there, and a lot of artists, they were also telling others that, oh, if you want a photographer, you can speak with Suyash. So I said, then तब तक मैंने सोचा नहीं था कि like I need to take this professionally or something like that. But after Naptol, I said I'll do everything professionally. सब कुछ करूंगा मैं, वीडियो भी बनाऊंगा मैं. तो वीडियो का मुझे लेकिन इतना आइडिया नहीं था, बिकॉज आई नेवर वर्कड विद वीडियो. आई मेनली वर्कड विद ऑडियो, आई मेनली वर्कड विद आर्टिस्ट, एंड फोटोग्राफी वाज समथिंग दैट आई वाज डूइंग फॉर फन. आई सेड चलो मजा आ रहा, करते हैं. So I start some. So Ravi called me again and said, "Arey, I need to do some videos. Can you shoot some videos for me?" I said, "Okay, I'll shoot." And I shot about 3-4 music videos for Ravi over the last few years. And it's fun doing it with him because हम लोग का थोड़ा सा ऐसा synergy match होता है, and he likes doing it in a certain way. And in general also, I started shooting videos for myself. I wanted to get into travel and things like that. So 2018 was my travel year. I was traveling whole year. Not whole year as in, I was traveling time to time throughout the year, and I shot a lot of videos. I started my YouTube channel. फिर कहीं पे वो रह जाता है, दैट कंसिस्टेंसी रह जाती है उसकी, बिकॉज वर्क टेक्स ओवर. And फिर करते करते when pandemic happened, I I was when pandemic happened, I was actually working on 6 projects altogether, which were voiceovers. Yeah, and I think voiceovers kept me going because voiceover was getting me a lot of regular work, and I got into audiobooks in 2018. 2017 I got into audiobooks. Um, उससे पहले मैंने 2 ऑडियो बुक की थी अराउंड 2011-12 में, बट this was like a proper, like the full narration of a book, like how a audiobook is supposed to be done. That started in 2017, and that really put me on a roll. So I was almost doing like 3 to 4 books in a month, which is quite a huge thing.
How were the days of handling your business, Shreyas?
I think it was very exciting, initial days. uh, so I had kind of jumped into the whole thing without really thinking things through, without really a plan. And it was just out of excitement of doing something for myself which drove me. So initially, I think we were placing a lot of artists in small festivals. So there was the Bandstand Festival that used to happen, that was being done by Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Bombay, and we were placing bands over there, and just to collect the money from coming from there. फिर एक कोई छोटा सा फेस्टिवल हो रहा था, उसमें I was putting up 2 stalls where, for music and dance I could kind of place people. I got conned over there. तो मतलब मुझे ऐसा, I was very trusting of people and anybody who would sell me. So I became very cautious after that. After that, I was like, नहीं boss, पहले पैसा दो, फिर बात करते हैं. But with bands, I think it was very exciting because I was traveling with them, and I was, um, you know, uh, getting to see a lot of music, and I was very, I had money and everything saved up, so I wasn't very worried about the money bit. So I was more about learning the process, getting to know how things work in the circuit, who are the people. So I would end up going for conferences and things like that, just to kind of better my knowledge of things. I was 4 days in a week. I used to be at Blue Frog in town. I used to be in Hard Rock Cafe. Everywhere there was a gig happening, I would turn up and be seen. So it was the excitement of being a part of that entire community and being a part of that scene that drove me initially. Eventually, I realized that boss, कहीं पे पैसे भी कमाने हैं तुम्हें. So I was also doing things like, there was a community radio station in Bandra, and I used to go and do radio shows over there. I used to interview bands, and then I realized, तू यार free में बहुत काम कर रहा है तू सब लोग के लिए. Because it takes when you see a bank balance not growing, and actually, you're only spending money, you realize, okay, now you need to put a business plan to this. So I became very selective in what I was doing. I had to let go of a lot of bands, and that's where the when people approached me for programming for TV shows, usme I charged a lot of money. I asked them for money. I said, okay, fine, I'll come and sit in your office and I'll treat this like a job, but you have to pay me. This is how much you have to pay me. मुंह खोल के पैसे मांगे उन्होंने, हाँ हाँ दे देंगे. I like, कम मांग लिया क्या मैंने? तो ये भी पता चला कि यार मुंह खोल के पैसे मांगो तो दे भी देते हैं लोग. तो so things like that is, I think the learnings were quite huge, but they came pretty slow because that time I was also young, so I had a lot of energy. I could run around a lot. I could do a lot of physical work. I could move from one end of the city to the other without really thinking much. कोई मुझे मलाड बुला रहा है तो हाँ मैं अभी आ जाता हूँ. And I used to like take my car and just drive through and things like that. तो उस time पे initially excitement बहुत था, और एक्साइटमेंट और एनर्जी में वाज रियली वर्किंग हार्ड. So and the process is what was driving me, and that was about it. Now, post Naptol, when I got back to my journey, I've just decided to work things a little more smarter. You have to, like, I became very particular about getting paid for my services, because not just me, if I am working with someone, that particular someone also has to get paid, and that particular person also has to get paid on time, not like 6 महीने सबके payments रुक रहे हैं and things like that. So I became very particular about those things. I started charging people in advance. I started literally dictating terms to companies um, that were working with me. But thoda sa bhi it kind of got relaxed because एक वो working relationship बन गया है सबके साथ. ट्रस्ट ट्रस्ट करना शुरू कर देते हैं लोगों को. बट वो फिर क्या होता है, फिर थोड़ी देर बाद कोई एक ऐसा आदमी आता है कि then you have to get back to doing all those things again. So you have to keep a good balance of those things. But at the same time एक थोड़ा सा, क्योंकि it's not, I'm not in that music circuit anymore. It's a different set of artists that I deal with. I also realized one thing, that you're working for artists, but you're not doing anything for yourself because you're an artist as well. तो जितना एफर्ट तुम दूसरे आर्टिस्ट पे डाल रहे हो, अपने ऊपर भी डालो.
Absolutely.
राइट. तो वहाँ पे वो एक थोड़ा सा थॉट आ गया कि नो, यू नीड टू वर्क ऑन योर सेल्फ एज वेल. So that's where I started improving myself as a voice artist. I've done things like मतलब एक I'd done one acting course in between. I started practicing what I'd learned over there. I started practicing what I'd learned in my voiceovers in my classes back then. I started reading scripts again, because when I did my first audiobook, I realized a lot of shortcomings in my own voice. So I started practicing my the exercises for voiceovers, starting getting my clarity right. अभी भी मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मुझे सब कुछ नहीं पता है, तो आई कीप इम्प्रूविंग माई सेल्फ इन दोस. आई कीप आस्किंग अदर आर्टिस्ट, हे कैन यू हेल्प मी विद दिस, बिकॉज कई बार क्या होता है कि रिक्वायरमेंट्स आती हैं, तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि नहीं यार, इसका स्टाइल ज़्यादा बेटर है. तो आई नीड टू लर्न दैट स्टाइल, आई नीड टू पिक दैट स्टाइल अप एज वेल. तो काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें हैं जो है कि दैट लर्निंग ऑलवेज कीप्स गोइंग ऑन. And even in business otherwise, I've it was more like till some time I was only working with a client, like a fixed set of clients that I had, and I was hardly actually putting efforts towards marketing or towards sales or towards business development. Then since last year I started doing that also. I said, okay, I need to grow my business, so I need to go out,
Okay.
develop my business, talk to newer clients, get them on board, which I started doing last year, and then it started showing results. And that's why you would have felt that there is Suyash to दिखता नहीं है, but I was actually quite caught up in the last entire year. Like finally मैंने जून में जाके थोड़ा 2 दिन का एक छुट्टी लिया है मैंने. So I was really pushing myself hard since last year.
Lovely.
And yeah,
Lovely,
so
Suyash.
initial days, मुझे तो ऐसा लगता है कि initial days तो अभी भी चल रहे हैं business के, because as an entrepreneur you can it's never enough for us. We keep
No doubt
wanting,
about it. No
we
doubt
keep
about it.
we want to do newer things every day.
True.
So
True.
yeah.
So, Suyash, you've been an entrepreneur for quite a time. So, as per you, what are 5 things you feel every entrepreneur must have?
Oh, the one thing I really maintain is that every entrepreneur must have the एक अंदर से ना एक लर्निंग का चाह होना चाहिए. मतलब you always have to be learning, because nobody knows everything in the world, right? And part of that is because the market is changing so fast. Every year there is some new thing that's coming out, there's technology that's coming out, there is entire social media algorithms change in a matter of months, and all of a sudden whatever you've learned in the past 6 months becomes obsolete. So I think but in general, I mean, ये तो specific to certain things हो गए, but in general also I think an entrepreneur has to learn, has to be constantly learning. That is one thing I always tell people. uh, Being in the voice industry, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि every entrepreneur must work on their voice. बहुत मैटर करता है. बहुत मैटर करता है जब आप
Agreed.
फ़ोन उठा के किसी को हेलो बोलते
Agreed.
हो, और वहाँ से वो आदमी चाहे कितने भी गुस्से में हो, अचानक से शांत हो जाए, या कितनी भी खराब स्थिति में
Absolutely.
हो, योर हेलो कैन चेंज अ पर्सन्स डे. So your voice can
True.
change a person's day. It can help you be more authoritative, it can help you be more compassionate, it can help you deal with your employees better. um, and it can do wonders for you, like not just in your professional life but also in your personal life, is what I feel. That is the second thing.
Agreed.
The third thing is, boss, you should know the ins and outs of your business. तुम्हें अगर अपना बिजनेस, अपना प्रोडक्ट पता है अच्छे से, लाइक तुमको कोई सोते हुए भी उठा के कोई पूछे, यू शुड हैव ऑल द आंसर्स. एंड दिस इज समथिंग दैट I have still to kind of get there, you know. You're never satisfied with knowing everything, but you still have to get there. You can never be satisfied as a entrepreneur कि हाँ बस मैंने इतना कर लिया और मेरे को
True.
इतना ही करना है. कब वो चीज़ खत्म हो जाएगी तुम्हें पता नहीं. Right? That's the fourth thing is what I feel. And the fifth thing, I personally believe that you should believe in God. Not I mean, whatever is your way of believing in God, believing in luck, believing in whatever happens for good. इसमें भी कोई अच्छाई है. You may be an atheist, not believe in God as a being, but in believing that yes, there is something way beyond your power, that that has more control than you have. तुम्हारी जिंदगी कहाँ कैसे ले
True.
जाएगा वो फोर्स, यू डोंट नो. एंड दैट, you can call it God, you can call it luck, you can call it fate, you can call it whatever you want, but knowing that something like that exists,
Agreed.
and not everything is in your hands. Whatever is in your hands, वो तुमको लगता है कि तुम जितना कर सकते हो उतना करो, बेस्ट करो अपना. एंड मतलब वो जो है ना, कर्म करो फल की चिंता मत करो वाला जो वो है, इट्स अ वेरी बेसिक गीता का सार दैट एवरीबडी गिव्स. बट आई थिंक टू लिव दैट is to actually do your best and let the results will come, and believe that the results will come.
Absolutely.
So these are the five
Absolutely.
things that I feel
Absolutely.
every entrepreneur must have. बाकी यार वो सब बिजनेस का सेंस होना चाहिए, कैश फ्लो होना चाहिए, ये होना चाहिए, वो सब होता रहता है. But I think mentally that mindset has to be not uh, you can be as aggressive as you want, but ये सब चीजें अगर नहीं है तो फिर I mean, to each their own, you know. So for some people, aggression works. For some people, swindling people works. Uh, but for me, these are the things that I personally feel have helped me. So
Got it. Thanks. Thanks, Shreyas. So you've been an entrepreneur for quite a long time now. Tell me, how has being an entrepreneur changed you as a person?
it gives you. I don't know if it has changed me as a person. I think it's just given me a lot more confidence in myself. That yes, you don't need a job to make money. It has helped me help my friends realize that, a lot of my friends also kind of were, let go of their jobs, but they were let go from their jobs, nahi jama jobs mein. So I think I always help them out, and they also realize ki ha, that you can actually have dreams and live it, and not always be in a job, so एक वो खुद पे कॉन्फिडेंस आता है, वही सेम कॉन्फिडेंस तुम दूसरों को दे पाते हो. Or when with every success, I think it kind of makes you want to do more and makes you want to do better in life. और
Absolutely.
और अपनी बनाई
Absolutely.
हुई चीज जब सामने आती है, लोग अप्रिशिएट करते हैं, तो अच्छा तो लगता ही है. As an entrepreneur, when you create something, when you make something, when it's
True.
your product that comes out and people appreciate it, and people walk up to you and said, hey, you did a great job, it's a good thing. अच्छा लगता है वो करने में.
Agreed. Agreed. All right. So before we end this particular episode,
हाँ.
Suyash, what message you would like to give to our community members and to the people who are listening to this episode?
So I think we have a great community in ISYB. There are people from so many walks of life, Mithil. Uh, बहुत अच्छा लगता है लोगों से. It's a very positive community. I think we need to keep maintaining that positive attitude, and it's very important for all of us to help each other grow in whatever possible way. There are still a lot of people I haven't connected with in the community from on a one-to-one basis, but the people whom I have connected with, I have found immense support from them, and my support for them is always there in any endeavor that they're doing, and that is how a community should be. and that is how a supportive community and a positive community should be. I'm sure, I because I've never worked with your internal committee, there may be challenges over there where a lot of people may feel that acha ye nahi ho raha hai, wo nahi ho raha hai, and all that. But I'm sure it's a part of working for the community, and it's a selfless thing that you guys do. And I think you, Mithil, you come up with a lot of interesting ways of channelizing that energy that everybody has over here. So one, I really want to appreciate that bit. Kostav, I really appreciate his initiative of putting this community together, and the fact that there's always something or the other that that guy keeps doing. And it's amazing the kind of energy he brings to the community. Every member of the community, I think, somewhere even I've been lacking on this in putting the effort of bringing forward this thing. But as everybody in the community knows, that I now have a studio which is open. There's an open invitation from me to for everyone to come over to my studio, and a lot of people from the community have been to the studio as well. Lakshmi's been here, Daljit has been here, Ashutosh has been here, Kajal has been here. So they've seen the studio, and they're all exploring the option of starting their own podcasts from here. So I think you and I, Mithil, we can definitely put together something for them. You with your years of podcast experience, me with my years of
Definitely.
media and entertainment experience, and this is something that we can definitely put together over there. And so my advice to the community is, don't let your fears come in front. Don't let your fears overpower that need for you to come forward and create content. We are there to support you, and if आपके
Totally.
कोई भी ऐसी हिचकिचाहट है, उसको एड्रेस करने के लिए हम बैठे हैं. आप आओ, बात करते हैं, सामने बैठ के बात करते हैं,
बात करते हैं.
राइट. एंड वी आर
How
हियर टू
Haveli ने.
हेल्प यू. हम सब हेल्प करने के बैठे हैं.
True.
एंड द सेम, इट्स द सेम थिंग दैट आई एक्सपेक्ट फ्रॉम अदर्स एज वेल. If I need help with something, I'll definitely approach
No
people.
doubt
And
about it.
that's the best part about this community, that there is always um, you know people who want to help, and that's how it should be, and we should try and maintain that as much as possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much,
It's my
Suyash, for
pleasure,
taking your
Mithil,
valuable
that
time, coming here, sharing your journey.
so this is me, Suyash. I'm doing the ending voiceover for Mithil's show. You've just listened to I Support Your Business show with your host, Mithil. Thank you so much for listening to our show and giving so much love. Don't forget to subscribe to our show on Apple Podcast or Spotify. This is Mithil signing off at the moment. Until next time, meet you soon with another member and their exciting stories. But until then, keep rocking and stay safe.